This is a how-to video on how I built a art studio in my basement. The key ingredient for this studio and what makes this studio different from most other studios is that I'm using aerosol, aka spray paint, in the basement of my house, and I needed to set it up so that the fumes weren't floating upstairs. So this is how I did it. The first ingredient are these plastic painter's tarps that come from Home Depot or Lowe's. It has a little bit of a plastic side on one side, but it's paper. They were super cheap, and I overlapped them as such. The thing that I did first is paint the ceilings, so that way the light, what little light I have in here, will help try to give some ambient light throughout the basement, or in the section that I built in here. I painted the ceiling to help seal, so any vapors going up would be trapped. And then I have this air duct, for the heater, air conditioning. And as we all know, they aren't super sealed. So I use this air duct sealant to seal all the seams to make sure that none of the vapors or contaminated air would get into my air conditioning heating system. So those were the two major key ingredients when addressing the ceiling. I built walls using pallet material that I found. I'd pick it up, drag it home. The 2x4s that I used was leftover material from when we were doing construction in the house. We took down some walls. It had like 1,000 nails in it, so I had to pull all the nails out, but I basically used all reclaimed wood. Again, there's pallets, cut a pallet in half, used the half up top, but all of that is pallet wood material to make the other wall. So now my wall is sealed from the other room of the basement by using the plastic material all the way across. And of course, I'm all the way at the end of the house. And then the next thing to address is ventilation. ASO 9000 not approved, but this is my ventilation system, just using a basic house fan. I open the window up and it's always a precarious moment because I gotta slide the fan over, unlock the window, open the window, put the fan on blast, and get the air blowing. And it actually works. And how do I know it works? Because when I open the window, you can see the drapes start moving in that direction. But when I turn the fan on, lowest setting first, you can see the ventilation is coming back this way. And I overlapped it enough to where you can still get some opening in here, but the air is actually coming in here and going out the window. When I start spraying heavy duty, I kick it on high. It's like a sailboat in here. And if I start painting a lot and get a lot of fumes going, I'll leave the room for a few minutes. Of course, I'm using a respirator mask when I'm working down here. I may be from Alabama, but I ain't stupid. The studio measures approximately 84 inches wide, looks like 7 foot, by almost 13 feet, 155 inches to be exact. So here's a little pan view of the 7x13 studio. Gives me enough space to work over there, work here. All the paint stored here. Ventilation is here. Canvas supplies are stored here. Working area here and working area here. And a lot of times I'll have a painting here, start working on this one over here, have a painting over there, be working over here, and so forth. Spray paint, purchased by Bombing Science. I made a little garbage buck with the Bombing Science box. And Dang paint. This is my first time using Dang spray paint. Ha ha ha. Funny name for a paint company. But anyhow, I've been using this, and Bombing Science had these packages where you couldn't pick the colors, but they had groups, and it was the right price, so I purchased that. And of course, in my old past experiences, of course, I got to try some Krylon, which is crap now. That purple is like, you might as well just be pouring cough syrup onto the painting. But the camouflage paints from both Rust-Oleum and Krylon are pretty dang good. Yeah, and I've just picked up some other paints from, catch them on sale or something. But primarily everything's being done with the Dang spray paint right now. I have one can of Montana down there because it's like super fresh pink, and my local art store carries that. Yeah, so this is what I'm using so far. With going to the Atlanta Style Writers Jam the last 2 years, this year will be the third year. But these yellow Lego caps, I don't even remember. I can't remember exactly, but somebody put me on these yellow caps. I came into the scene using the OG skinny caps and the New York. We call them fat caps. I don't think they were New York fat caps. They looked a lot like these. Actually, you know what? I'm going to go dip into my toolbox and I'll show you the OG tips. But right now, what I'm using is a yellow Lego. And I just recently purchased this dude. I didn't realize how skinny. This is a skinny cap. And I purchased this as well. I haven't used these yet, but I picked these two up from my local art store. It's crazy. You can buy spray paint supplies and cool tips from art stores these days. The world has changed quite a bit from what I'm used to. But yeah, right now, yet to try and currently using. All right, here you go. Tips from yesteryear. Okay, OG fat caps. That was the super OG right there. And then skinny caps. Here, because it's actually used. Yeah. So these skinny caps right here, this is the OG skinny cap. And my man Julian, he was Street Smart Clothing. And while he and I had a warehouse together, Django and I was doing KTD gear. But my man Julian, he knew he was buying these things by the thousands and pre-packaging them. If you bought skinny caps at Hex's hip hop shop in LA, you were getting them from Julian, Street Smart. But those were my two tips that I used. It was a fat cap and a skinny cap. That's all there was. I mean, yeah, you had stock tips, but those were garbage. That's cool. Here's a few marbles in here from the spray cans. There's a Rust-Oleum metal ball. It's metal. Krylons were glass. And yeah, it's just that's what you had to have back in the day if you wanted to bring the style. Fat caps and skinny caps. And that was it. My man Julian had like the just endless supply of skinny caps. And that's what we used. Cut and slice method back in the day. Yeah, okay. That's that little piece.